Hey everybody, Carlos from Immortals podcast here. I have Mike on the mic again.
Yes.
Sorry if my voice is rough today.
He has the new strain of COVID.
No, I have the new strain of we're on Lake Erie and Canada's on fire again.
Is it on fire?
Yeah, it's a huge forest fire up there and all the smoke's coming over and it's hazy. And it's the Canadapocalypse. Anyway, all kidding aside.
I apologize to all of our Canadian viewers. That is not what we're trying to do here.
Oh, God love you.
And Tim. Shout out Tim.
Yeah, Tim, you big Nanook.
Is that like a Canadian
thing,
Canadian slur?
I don't know. I don't think it's a slur. I think it's just he'll know what it is. But I was watching the news, or I'm not watching the news. Goldfish TV. I think they're called. I gave you that link. Put them in there. This is the article that got me. Is they talk about a lot. They're mostly comic book stuff, and but I try to pay attention to industry because believe it or not, I kind of do need to pay attention.
Yeah, you're kind of in the industry. Yeah.
So I guess Alliance Diamond. Let me see how that worked. Diamond, I think, filed for bankruptcy, which was underneath Alliance Games. Diamond did a lot of the gaming part. No, Diamond's comics.
Were they like a subsidiary of?
Yeah, no. Alliance is the games, Diamond's the comics. And one part of the one that's underneath the other one, I think it's Diamond is the one that's the main one. Either way, they filed for bankruptcy, Chapter 11, which is, I think Chapter 11 is the one where you don't have to pay anything back. But they owed a lot of people money. Apparently, there were some issues with Wizards and a lot of these other companies. And a lot of smaller companies were owed money, and now they're in trouble. They're all, which, if you don't know, I'll give you a quick thing. I'm sure you do know just from hanging around here, but distributors work this way. You make a game, you want to sell it, you contact a distributor, and then that distributor says, all right, I'll buy 2,000 copies. So you sell it to a distributor for a certain price. Distributor puts his markup on it, which isn't a lot because it's very small margin on the distributor. The distributor then sells it to me, and then I mark it up to retail, right? And that's how I make the money. All right, but their distributors do a lot of volume. And like we use, shout out to PhD, Peach State Hobbies. My guy Sean over there, he takes care of us. And
Yeah, they do.
Enjoy it. Yeah,
They do.
It's very, distributors are good for like, all right, I don't want 1,000 copies. I only want 5. Or I only want 10, or with Wizards they do they go exclusively with distributors, I think.
Yeah.
I don't at my level anyway. I just
be a
deal
Wizard
with
store, and then you get
Lorcana
exclusive
and all that. That way they Flesh and Blood, all that does that through there. But there's also a lot of major games that do it. That allows us to have a good string of different products in the store without me going crazy. On the other hand, though, a lot of smaller companies, they don't have that. They don't use a distributor, and they're harder to find. Or they'll be exclusive, which, man, do I hate exclusivity because then it forces you to, and I understand it, but it forces you to deal with a distributor or something else. And it's like, it's kind of a pain because especially if that distributor is not very good at, or it's not something you use, I understand why they do it because it benefits the distributor. It's a business. But sometimes it's irksome. What I have noticed is a lot of games sell direct, which is, that's a normal thing too. Like if you have especially smaller press games, if you sell direct, you're like, hey, I made this game. I think the most famous ones or the biggest one would be, what's that card company? The Black Decks. Nobody sells them. Everybody always comes in and asks them. Like, just you got to go to their website.
Black Decks.
Cards Against Humanity.
Oh, okay.
They always dealt direct. I try to get them in the store. They're like, no, or they just didn't give an answer or whatever. They just deal direct most of the time. And you see them in a bigger store. Like, okay, that's fine. But then, when people come in and ask for it, I'll be like, well, I don't have it because I can't get it. But here's another 10 games that I think you might like.
Yeah.
Well, then, I make that sale that way. So I guess you could take a positive from that. But also, smaller companies sell direct, but they also have a hard time. If you make a great game, and I'll use this as an example. I'm not saying this. Mothership. Do you remember Mothership RPG?
Mm-hmm.
So Mothership RPG is a great role-playing game. It's a future sci-fi horror game. And it's very simple, and it's a lot of fun to play. So I had it for a little bit, couldn't find it. No distributor carried it. I don't know what their deal was, but they dealt direct. But that limits them to, whatever people know about the game. So they're like, okay, well, we can sell direct to you, and then you go to your house and you play your game. The benefit of being in a store is that you can have that store, especially if it's a good game, have that store push it out more. Like say, hey, I just got
Poker Barrel.
Poker Barrel. I just got Shadow Dark. I just got
Lamentations.
Whatever. Yeah, Lamentations. I have it on my shelf. I have it in store. The store's going to talk about it. You'll find players there. You know what I'm saying? So it benefits the game maker or the game manufacturer, the writer or whatever, to have it in the store. Which goes back, if you're at that funny size where you're not big enough that you can go mass distribution, and you're not so small that you're only printing at your house, you know what I'm saying? You might deal direct. You might deal direct with store owners, and it's a lot more work. Yeah, granted, I have to keep track of everything and who's going on and what's on. But the other part of that is if you make a good game, you have to make a good game. You can't just put out crap or push out garbage or push out something you think's cool, because if you write something and it's not good, it's not good. People don't want it. If you write something, that's just business. That's just, free market. That's
People got to know it's good too.
Yeah. So
it might be good, but nobody knows it's good.
And it might be good. It might nobody knows. So, sometimes you have to hit the ground and start talking and doing all this. I hate like magazines say, oh, this is the greatest new game. I've never heard of this writer. I've never heard of this company. Yeah, that guy's probably took and I'm being kind of negative here, but that's just being honest. That guy probably took out a big loan, got a couple people to say he's going to, pushed it out for no reason and just to make a sale. That's no fun, And I don't want to do that. But if you write, it forces you to write a good game. You have to have a good product. If you have a good product, I'm going to come looking. I have been looking for Mothership for a long time. I want this back on my shelf. It's a good game. It's a game I can talk about. It's a game I can get behind. I enjoy their stuff, Lo and behold, not too long ago, bam, I got a notice from, I think it's Tuesday Night Games or something like that. I got a notice, hey, you can deal kind of direct with us. Okay, I will. I'm not going to buy 1,000 copies, but I'm going to buy enough to put on my shelf.
Is it cheaper usually when you go direct too? Like
you get a little break, but it's
because there's always that wholesale price no matter what.
Yeah, it's a wholesale price, but a lot of times, and here's the other part is I understand, like with bigger distributors, a lot of times they'll give you a break on shipping, spend this much, you get shipping, but that number's up there, But like with the smaller companies, all right, I'm going to spend a couple, $300 to $400, $500 with you, which is a big deal. The smaller companies, that's a big deal. But I might have to pay the shipping. Okay, I'll do that. I'll just, it's part of business, But they also give me a better discount. Like I get a better discount if I do direct with the actual company than I do with a distributor, But the benefit of distributors, I have a better selection, and oftentimes the shipping is way, either there is no shipping fee after a certain amount or it's really lower. But, if I get one box from a small company, it's packed full of their games, and I get the complete line. That's the other problem with distributors. If I have something like, hey, I want this game, like Shadow Dark. Say it's Shadow Dark would be the example. I don't know what distributor.
They got the zines or whatever,
Yeah, if I want all their stuff, Final Girl. I dealt direct with Final Girl one time. If I want all their stuff, they have it because I'm dealing direct. So I want everything you have. Okay. If I try to go through distributors, a lot of times, I'm competing with every other store out there buying
out
it
of
up.
stock.
So it's like they go out of stock.
Not there.
I have 7 of the 10 items you want. Well, I want it all, and it's easier to do that. So as a smaller company, you might have to do a little extra work and start hitting these game stores. Fright
Show Classics.
Fright Show Classics. I talk to that guy every once in a while. It's even cash or Cult. Chalt. We talk to these guys. I talk to these guys every once in a while, and we have conversations back and forth. Like Fright Show Games just started a new Kickstarter. I got to go take a look at it. He just started it, so it benefits you, and then you become more in touch with the community and what people want and what's good. You know what I'm saying? So, and then you go from there. But yeah, that's I don't know where I was going with this.
Go direct if you can.
Yeah, go direct if you're a smaller company, go direct if you can. If you're a game store and you're looking to stock your shelves at a reasonable price, then you can take easy bites out of it. I'll get $100 here. That guy will take your $100. He'll be happy to put your game because his game is then going on your shelf, and he'll probably contact you again. Hey, how you doing? You need some more?
Because you only buy like 5 to 10 per item, right? Like most of the time, like when you're buying RPGs or whatever, depending on the output or what,
depends on
what the anticipation is. You just kind of you don't go.
Depends on how fast it sells out, and where I get it from. Like Lamentations. It's
here's a good example with Pokemon with the Ultra Premium Collection. Like we asked for so many. We asked for a big amount, and our distribution was only able to get us this much because everybody else, it was such a big allocation.
I mean, that's worldwide crazy.
Such a small fulfillment. That's a huge example, though. But usually for smaller scale businesses, it's much easier to get what you need.
Yeah, smaller companies, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Pokemon and Magic, that's a whole different animal, But, if you're a smaller company, and I know, I think the point was like a lot of these smaller companies that dealt with, as I want to say Alliance or Diamond or whatever, even them smaller, like they're owed $100,000 or they're like if somebody owed me $100,000, I'd be, well, we're done. If somebody owed us $20,000, I'd be like, all right, we're having a problem here. You know what I'm saying? Like to them, that's not a lot of money. To the smaller company, that's even $1,000 could make or break payroll.
Yeah, because that's a day's worth.
How many times am I yelling at you? Hey, you got to make payroll this week, or you're just not going to eat.
You're not allowed to eat. You're going to starve. We're not going to be anything. Yeah.
It's rough. Sometimes you're like, man, what is all this about?
Yeah, flagship grind.
But if you're a smaller, I guess my advice would be, I was just talking about it, my advice to you would be, hey, if you're a smaller company and you got a good game, or you got a game you think is good, push it out there, and if people buy it, get the feedback, that way you can get direct feedback, like, hey, I sold you some games. How are they doing? They're not really selling, and here's why. And you could get that, it's criticism, it's just real, real world things, like I just, did we were going to do this or with that game I have on the shelf over there.
Yeah, Nightmares When Nightmares Come or something like
somebody
that.
said, man, you did a really crappy review. Yeah, I did because I didn't have the book. But he's telling me I did a crappy review, so now I have the book.
Now you're about to
it wasn't even like a review. Yeah, and now I'm like, hey, listen, here's what I got.
Here's my ChatGPT review.
Oh, no.
Just let you guys know, we do not use ChatGPT on any of this. We don't even have a script. There's no script anywhere. This is my thumbnail script from a while ago.
And if you can't tell that I'm talking freely, I don't know.
I think they understand.
Yeah.
They understand we're just winging it.
Here, let me do the ad voice. Hi, my name is Carlos Robles. I am here to help you. See that? I'm not doing that.
We need that in ChatGPT now. Stat.
No, we don't. But anyway, if you like what you heard, you like what you saw, give us a click, give us a like. If you
join.
Yeah, if you want to support us, join us. And
if you're not subbed and you think you've been subbed this whole time, just check. Just hit the sub. Helps us a lot.
Coming up on 2,000. I'd like to have it by the end of the month.
I think we're going to do a giveaway when we hit 2,000. It's kind of a big milestone. I'm just going to give away the whole store. Right?
What are we giving away?
Your most prized possessions. AD&D books, all that stuff.
No, we're not doing that.
Stay tuned.